Whenever you see an attractive female character in a video game, you just know that there are going to be snowflakes melting down over it. They're going to say that developers only made games to appeal to the male gaze, and that they should change it to be more progressive. But with Street Fighter 6, their active player number has nearly doubled after adding what Polygon is calling a Gooner Chun-Li costume. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, these people absolutely hate seeing attractive females in our entertainment. They're perfectly fine with seeing hunky masculine men with their shirts off wearing Speedos, but no, you can't have females. Otherwise, if you look at this, you're just a gooner. And we have seen so many attacks on developers for creating attractive female characters or skins that suit their physiques. Look at something like Marvel Rivals, for example. They have been very upset over the fact that there are so many skins that appeal to, I would just say, the human gaze. I think the concept of the male gaze is really dumb because ultimately human beings are just naturally attracted to other attractive human beings, and that shouldn't be deemed a very negative thing. That's how we literally are alive. But regardless, I think that it's just women want to look at very pretty men, and men want to look at very pretty women. That shouldn't be a negative thing. Nobody wants to look at a fat tub of lard land whale in a video game. And when, of course, that isn't the type of character that's put into a game, well, then we see attacks on men, or in this case, just gooners. I think that this is such a funny argument because there are over 3.5 billion gamers in the world, and according to studies, nearly half of that are women. So that means that you would think that a large portion of women also are the ones playing this, also ones consuming this content. Like, I think that this skin looks phenomenal and I'm a woman. Does that mean I'm a gooner? Guess so. It says, though, Capcom is right now gaining some popularity and they're pleasing their fans because it's the Chun-Li swimsuit skin, leaving little to the imagination, that's turning heads in the community right now. To say that the player base is obsessed is an understatement. If you really want to see Chun-Li nude, right, there are thousands upon thousands of images and pages of that on the internet, I'm certain. So to present it as if, oh my gosh, it's leaving little to the imagination, that's so terrible, is the problem that they have is pretty funny to me. Capcom is going to make $1 billion from this, reads one reply on the trailer showcasing the new costumes, which dropped on August 5th. I'm having very normal and rational thoughts about these costumes, another remarked. We not leaving the goon cave with this one, another exclaimed. You would think that they would have better things to write about. You would think that they would be more worried about, I don't know, groups like Collective Shout wanting to censor all entertainment, not just women in games, but also men in games and certain even LGBTQ plus themes. You'd think that the Polygons and the Kotakus would be constantly calling them out, but they put up one article and they think that, well, this is good enough. The only reason why, of course, they covered that in the first place was because they thought that they could get clicks on it, but they don't actually care about fighting for the video game industry. They care about attacking gamers. The impact of the release was immediate. The crowd at fighting game tournament EVO reportedly burst into cheers when Capcom initially unveiled the reel of new costumes, and on Steam there has been a sizable jump in the active players that coincides with the release. On August 4th, the average number of people online at the start of the day was merely around 8,600 players. On Tuesday, the evening before the drop, the number dropped to around 17,000 and rose throughout the day. By Wednesday, when the new costumes became available, the number of people online exploded to an amazing 50,000 active fans. And I don't just think that this is gooners, right? I think that this is people who enjoy this game, who wanted to play more of it, who said, you know what, there's a new big update, I'm just going to consume it. I don't think it's just because of the Gooner skins, but of course they want to paint all gamers as being porn addicts and gooners and chuds. They say the summer costumes arguably give people multiple reasons to tune in, some of which aren't Chun-Li, but based on social media posts, if Chun-Li isn't the reason people are starting up 6 again, she's certainly one of the highlights. Some outright call this a Gooner skin, while others swear that they simply have a deep appreciation for the masterful way Capcom can translate its concept art into the actual game. Whatever the case, everyone seems to be talking about Chun-Li, so why are you highlighting these posts? If you don't agree and you think that, oh, well, there could be other reasons, some outright call this a Gooner skin. The only reason you wrote this article is because you wanted the hate clicks on it. Otherwise, you would just say, yeah, everybody's loving the brand new Street Fighter 6 update. You wouldn't specifically frame it as it's because they added the Gooner Chun-Li costume. We know the word Gooner has a certain connotation behind it now, that there are certain people like video game journalists who will use that word like it's a slur against gamers, like it's a negative. I personally don't care if you call me a Gooner for appreciating Lara Croft and Bayonetta and Chun-Li, right? I don't care, but you still think that this word holds like a negative meaning, and that definitely isn't the case. But of course they are going to say this because they are desperate to have their voices be heard. They personally seemingly don't think that this content should be allowed in video games, or they think that they can bully developers into changing their minds when that definitely isn't going to happen at this point. I do think that we have seen certain companies, especially ones like Capcom, right, focus more on DEI narratives in games, but they do ultimately realize that while they can change around some female characters, there are stars that they cannot touch, like Chun-Li, because if you change the way that Chun-Li looks, you're going to have millions and millions of people who are going to be upset with you and potentially boycott your game. So they leave those ones untouched, which is good. I think that it's amazing to always see a gorgeous Chun-Li skin in a game, but these people at the Polygons and Kotakus and the gamers, right, they are definitely upset that they have not fully gotten their way at this point, that the Chun-Li skins like this are still being made. Now, of course, I, like many other people, think that this looks absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so happy to see that they put this in the game and they respected her body proportions, we'll say, for argument's sake, and so that YouTube doesn't demonetize what I actually want to say. But they have added this Gooner Chun-Li costume, and of course, the Polygons of this world could not help themselves. They had to talk about it, and of course, they had to frame it in a negative way that, the player base is obsessed, and they're talking about this Gooner Chun-Li skin, even though I think that it is really good for Street Fighter players, that the PC player counts have skyrocketed. Do I think that it's going to hold this number forever? Probably not, though it is always good for a player base to see a count jump up, even if it is only temporary. And a lot of people, yes, are talking about the Street Fighter 6 skin, and even the journos, who of course are very upset over it. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.